Alright, and I'm back with another video. This time I'm going to be doing a video on the new 2-pack of the Venom and Jeff Landstrike from Marvel Rivals. I didn't upload it in a couple weeks now, but one was because Anime Expo had passed, so I was at that, and then after that I just kind of got lazy and wasn't doing anything. But actually I picked up a few things from there that I want to show off real quick that I'll be making videos on, and one is the Marineford Luffy from SH. And then I also got the Storm Arena Ken from Street Fighter Alpha 3. And I know that they recently just restocked this Ken on Big Bad, and that restock literally happened like 2 days after Anime Expo ended, so it's just unlucky. I ended up paying a little more, but it wasn't too bad. Alright, so here's the figure. Let's get a closer look at him. So you can see the Venom comes with an extra head where he has his tongue sticking out, and he comes with 2 extra pairs of hands that we'll take a closer look at right now. And then Jeff they have Jeff right here, and he comes with an extra head, and I know he comes with a little effect where it looks like he's swimming under the water. Here's the back of the box. They also have a 2-pack that comes with Spidey and Luna. And there's one that just comes with Moon Knight, and then also the one that comes with Punisher over here. Alright. Let's open up the figures and take a closer look at them. Alright, first let me show off Jeff, since he, obviously I don't know if a lot of you have seen, but he doesn't really do much. He's basically just a statue. So, here's Jeff with his adorable little grin. The only articulation he really has is in his head, so he can kind of rotate it around. You know, he can spin it all the way. His little collar can come off. Just slip it back on. Yeah, but he doesn't really do much. I mean, he's still cool just to have if you just want to display him like that without moving. But he also comes with another head where he's just grinning instead of having his tongue out. And he also has this, his little, what he looks like when he's swimming in the game. Alright. And then comes, alright, then here's Venom. He has a pretty big figure. See him up close. They did pretty good on painting his gums and his teeth for it to look nicely detailed. He also has the extra head, who has his tongue sticking out. Then he also comes with 2 extra hands. They're posing slightly different. One is completely open and one is kind of slightly closed. You can see right there. Alright, let's move on to some size comparisons, and then so we can see the articulation, because obviously Jeff has none and Venom looks like he's going to be limited in what he can do, but he don't look like he'll be too bad either. Alright, now for some size comparisons. I'm going to first show you what Jeff looks like next to Venom, and then from there I'm just going to compare everybody else to Venom. And that's how tall he is too. Alright. Here's Venom next to the Game Reverse Psylocke. Here he is next to the video, to the most recent video I'd done on the Secret Wars Daredevil. He is probably like another inch taller than what Daredevil is. And the biggest figure I could compare him to, so you could see, is Thanos, also from Game Reverse, which I think by the tiniest bit Venom is slightly taller than him. Alright, now let's move on to some articulation. Alright, so let's move on to articulation. So I'll just show off Jeff first, just to show you with his head swapped. Alright, so here's Jeff. Obviously the only thing he can really do is move around his head. You know, so look up, duck down. It's not bad though. How much you can look up and how much you can look down, it's pretty good. Oh, his collar fell off. Let me just take it off right now. Now let me just take off his head real quick. Here's what he looks like where he has his head. Just a little, it's just a ball joint. And then you can grab the other one and pop it in. There you go. There he is with his grin that he always has. And then you put on his collar. There you go. Alright, let's move on to Venom now. Alright, so let's start off with his head. He actually has this little like open gap up here that's really similar to the 2099 Spider-Man that I done my first video on. Let me get him up close. You can look up pretty good because of that though. And then how much he can look down. And then at his waist, let's do his waist first. He has the joint right here where he can look down. That's about it. And then back up. It's not, he can't really like bend backwards as much as some of the others can. Also, I wanted to talk about it a little. These tendrils, I thought you could take them off, but no, they're just part of the figure. So, at times they could feel like it could get in the way, but also he doesn't have that crazy of articulation, so it shouldn't really be that big of a problem. Now let's see. That's as far as his arm can go up. This could rotate all the way around. This joint moves on its own. The bicep and the tricep, it's kind of like on its own joint, and you can rotate it, but you wouldn't be able to rotate all the way because then this, his tendril would get in the way. And then at the elbow, that's how much he can do. And then the wrist can spin all the way. It can move. Oh, pop the arm off. But there's a joint there, so you can move the wrist back and forth. Wait, pop that back in. It's basically the same thing on the other side, so I won't even show it. He's a bulky figure to try to show off. Let me put his arms up right now while I show off the rest of them. Now, for his legs, he actually has pretty good articulation there. He can almost do the splits. He can rotate full 360 right here. Can't really kick back, and he can kick forward a decent amount. That's all the articulation at the knee. And then right here at the calf, he can rotate it all the way around too. And then at the foot, that's about how much he can bend backwards. Bend it back, and then forward. It's not very much. That's the same thing for the other leg. So he doesn't have that much articulation, but I still think that you could probably get him in some decent poses where he'd look, pretty good. All right, now let's go on to some posing and see what we can do with them. So now I just want to give my final thoughts and the rating that gives the figure overall. One last thing before I get to that, I forgot to mention it, and to show it off, is that I do actually have the Blockies Venom, which, obviously the big main thing is that the Blockies Venom is tiny compared to the Marvel Rivals, and obviously you probably would want more of the Marvel Rivals Venom, so he'd compare more to the rest of the 6-inch figures, instead of this that this is about like 5 inches tall. The only other problem that I know of is that I know a lot of people talk about stuff breaking on the Blockies one, which it hadn't happened to me yet, but sadly, as I was taking the tendrils off to show them off with the Marvel Legends, I broke one of the joints. This is a model kit. It isn't the same thing as an action figure like this, but they're both good. But I'm talking about the Marvel Legends right now. So let's just keep going with this. So overall, obviously for Jeff, I would have wanted for there to be actual articulation. But all he really has is to be able to move his head. Would have been nice if at least he could move his feet a little or something. So maybe you could try to sit him up like he usually sits when he's on his chair in the game. That would have been funny to have. And for Venom, I kind of wish he would have been able to take off these tendrils that he has wrapped around his arms. I kind of feel like they get in the way a little. They're cool, but it would have been nice if they were detachable. And I could have asked for a little bit more articulation. Probably would have been nice to have butterfly joints up here, but he doesn't have any. It's just the shoulders. He would have had a little more articulation so he could bring his arms closer together and move them back too. Especially when he does some of like the jumps that he does in the game. I feel like it would have been easier to pose him so you could hit some of those poses, but you can't really do that here. But overall, as a 2-pack, the rating I would give it is probably about a 7. But if we're talking about them on their own, I feel like Jeff would get like a 6.5, but Venom, I think around a 7.5 would be about the rating I would give him. But overall he's not bad, but there is things that could have been better about him. But I think that's about it. All the accessories were nice. It's cool that they included this. It's something small, but it's it's funny to have, so you can recreate what Jeff looks like when he's swimming in the game. But alright, that's about it. Thanks for watching.